Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm Dana Neeson. Welcome to Final Expense Telesales. Thank you so much for yesterday for offering your comments and suggestions of what type of content you think would be the most valuable for you. While I am taking that all in, I thought I would share something kind of unique today, an exercise to really bring what we do to life. Maybe it'll help you with your customers visualize the importance of putting a final expense policy in place and maybe help increase your overall sales. If you are just now finding this channel, thank you so much for being here. Again, my name is Dana. I run a telesales team for Tailored Legacy. We sell final expense insurance over the phone with just one carrier. My job is to help you have stronger, more sophisticated sales conversations. So today during training this morning, we spent some time talking about the importance of a section of our script that is titled The Hospital Story. The hospital story comes towards the end, right before we transition into asking health questions to figure out what they qualify for and offering options. Essentially, we have just come from our discovery phase where we're learning about who they are, what they want, where they've been, why they're here. We've gone into education. We've educated them on the difference between term and whole life, really helped them understand their options and what they should be looking for. And we have just come off of the most important section of the script, which is what's going to happen to this policy when your time comes and what type of impact will that have on your kids when it comes to paying for your funeral expenses. Okay, so we've done all of the work. We have gotten to this point where we are now asking the question of, do you feel like this could be the answer for you? Or do you feel like this is something you think you would want your family to have, right? That's sort of like the question that we ask to gauge where they're at. And if they're really in it with you, a lot of them will say, yeah, this, it really sounds great. Some of them will say, yeah, but it depends on price. Doesn't really matter what they say. What happens next is a very critical moment. And it's a moment that a lot of agents skip because it makes them uncomfortable. And it is definitely something you should never skip. If you don't have it in your script right now, you need to put it in your script immediately, and then you have to practice it multiple times until it sounds authentic and real from you. So this section is called The Hospital Story. And essentially, we are walking somebody through what it's going to look like for their family in 10, 20, 30 years from now. When they're sitting in the hospital, things aren't looking good. We're having them envision this. The nurse walks in at 2 a.m, taps them on the shoulder, says, "I'm sorry, but your dad has just passed. We want to offer condolences," but the nurse is going to say, you need to make arrangements for your dad's body now because we have to get the room ready for the next patient. And then we ask, what do you think your son is going to do at that moment, right? Having them picture that in their mind. Well, the way I just described it to you right now, very surface, just very matter of fact, giving you the nuts and bolts of what that paragraph says. But I probably didn't elicit any emotion out of you whatsoever because I wasn't emotional about it. My tone didn't change. I was talking just as I'm talking right now. It probably just went through one ear and out the other. And oftentimes that is how it sounds when you are saying it to your clients. So what I want to do at this moment, what I want to do with the time that you have so gracefully given to me today, is I want you to take a moment and I want you to close your eyes, okay? Just go ahead and close your eyes for me. No peeking. Now, while your eyes are closed, I want you to picture either somebody that you love more than anybody else in the world in the hospital sick with their last, couple of days ahead. Or I want you to picture that it's you 30 plus years from now or whatever that is in that hospital bed, and the person that you love most in the world is there with you. Okay, because we are doing this as getting our client who is buying the life insurance for their family to picture it's them, that's the scenario I'm going to use for this exercise. Okay, so close your eyes. I am talking to you as a client. I'm really glad that you feel that way, that you like the program. Because the bottom line, Miss Jones, is that our job, it really doesn't begin until that time comes for you. I mean, let's just pretend for a moment. Let's just pretend it's 25 years from now, okay? And you're in the hospital, hooked up to some machine or something. Things aren't looking good. Kids are visiting you every day, and but they know that your time is coming. And your son runs out to get a snack or something. On his way back, they see alarms going off, hear alarms going off, and they know that something has happened. And the nurse walks up to them and, puts her hand on his shoulder and says, "I'm so sorry, but, your mom has just passed. She's gone." Now, in that moment, even though you knew it was coming, even though your son knew it was coming, that wave of emotion that is going to set over him, it's undescribable, especially if you've never felt it before, right? In that moment, when now he is all processing, his life is literally flashing before his eyes. He can't visit you anymore. He can't touch you anymore. He can't share stories with you anymore. He can't see your presence or be in your presence or say, "I love you." Like, all of that is gone. No more than 5 minutes later, now that nurse has to tell your son that he now has to make arrangements for your body because they now have to get the room ready for the next patient. I mean, no more than 5 minutes. And he's grieving for the loss of the woman who raised him. And now he has to pick up the phone and call a funeral home and make arrangements for your body. I mean, what do you think he's going to do in that moment? Okay, we have to get you to picture in your mind the finality of what's going to happen when you pass away, and now it's time to make those calls. Is he going to be in any state of mind to be able to start making decisions and answering questions he may not be prepared to ask? And get them to talk. They're going to be a mess. I don't know what they're going to do. Some of them will even say they're going to call you. But in that moment, you can say, while he is experiencing one of the worst losses anybody can experience in their life, all he's going to have to do is pull out that ID card you gave him so many years ago, make one phone call to us, and we're going to be there to help take care of absolutely everything for him. And then you shut up. You don't always need to ask a question to get a response. If you've done a good enough job in getting your customers to picture in their mind the reality of what's going to happen when they pass, the number one thing that becomes important in that time frame is making sure their kids are taken care of. A $5 to $10 a month difference is no longer the decision-making factor. We are not in logic-based thinking anymore. We are in emotional-based thinking. And in that moment, where we are now describing the worst imaginable loss, all they want is for their kids to be taken care of. You make one phone call to us, and we're going to be there to help pick up those pieces so your son can grieve and work on celebrating the life that you lived. Then when we transition to health questions, we have something of emotional urgency we can hang on to. Okay? So if you don't have something like the FCGS that you can sell to help create that emotional urgency, you should find something. Right? You should find something to make what we do worth it, to make a difference in our customers' lives beyond the monetary death benefit. The whole reason people want to buy final expense insurance is to make sure their family is taken care of, not just to leave them a bunch of money. It's so they don't have to be a burden. And it's more than just being a financial burden. It's being an emotional burden as well. Every year, the FCGS does these road shows where they travel to different cities and speak to their agents about the impact that they have on different families. The very first thing that most beneficiaries say when they pick up the phone and they make that first call is, what do I do now? I don't know what to do. What did my dad want? What did my mom say? They don't know who to call, what to do. And that is the emotion that a lot of the funeral industry takes advantage of. And people will move heaven and earth and the sun and the stars to make sure that that day and that moment is a lot easier for their family. And it is worth every penny of what Lincoln Heritage might charge that is a little bit more expensive than a broker. If I had to come up with some sort of emotional story, not having access to something like the FCGS, it would probably be really heavily leaning into the financial impact, because that's really all you have to go off of. So after you've educated, you've created the urgency of why now, why is this so important to you now? Like letting them know that you can help price shop for them. That's just logic-based thinking. You're still going to get a lot of objections when you stay in logic-based thinking and price shopping. So if you get a lot of objections as a broker and you can shop 20 different carriers, it's because people don't make decisions on logic. So you need to tap into the emotional impact of what not having this policy will do, of what having the policy will do. Either one, you have to tap into. Let's pretend it's 30 years from now. You can use the same story. You're in the hospital with your kids. Things aren't looking good. Go through the whole exercise and you can change it at the end to say, and now they have to come out of pocket for thousands of dollars to figure out how to celebrate your life. I mean, what do you think is going to go through their mind? Just change it a little bit. Or they can do what they need to do. Remember that you had a policy for them that's going to protect them from these out-of-pocket funeral expenses. And that's one less thing that they're going to have to worry about when it comes to allowing them to process the emotions of losing someone who gave them 30, 40, 50 years of themselves. So you got to find somewhere within your presentation that ties in the emotional urgency and impact of getting a policy so that they are more likely to make a decision on that phone call with you today. And if you just say it matter of fact, if there's no emotion attached to it, if it's dry and there's a lot of ums and you're finding your place and you're making it weird, it's not going to have the same impact as if you were to do it coming from really a place of sincerity. And if you've never lost somebody before, because I have, if you've never lost somebody important to you before, it may be tougher for you to be able to get there. But another agent in our meeting this morning said, pretend that there's somebody in your life that you would be devastated by if you lost them, or someone in your life that would be devastated if they lost you, and put yourself there. Imagine it's you. Find a way to emotionally connect to what that will be like for our clients. And you will probably have far more success when you can find a way to emotionally connect, get people to picture in their mind what that final day will be like and how they can help it make that much easier for their family. If you've enjoyed anything about this content, please do me a favor, give it a big like. Always leave me a comment to let me know what you've learned or what type of impact this video had on you. I always like to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you again on tomorrow's video.